What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to basketball. This is a great time of the year for all of us basketball sickos out there that just can't get enough NBA basketball during the year, especially if your team didn't win a championship this year and you're like, okay, I need to move on to the next season. Like, I need to see what, the next generation of players on my squad's gonna look like. So I want to make sure I'm covering Summer League as much as possible. I can't emphasize enough, we're not here to break down, team play necessarily, because it's Summer League, right? There's only so much practice time, things like that, but we want to break down, the individual players, and not even, their stats as much as their habits. I don't care about the field goal percentage and stuff right now, or efficiencies and stuff like that. I want to talk about their exact habits, but we'll look at their stats too, because it's still an interesting story nonetheless. Hey, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and comment. I've responded to every single comment on my YouTube channel up to this point, and I intend to keep on doing so. Let's get into it. All right, so what I'm kind of going to do is I'm really just going to go box score by box score for these games, and we'll obviously emphasize on rookies and second year players that we're hoping to see something out of, right? And then we'll go back and forth between my little statistics report here. Obviously this is the first week of the major Summer League. Obviously there's been some other ones up to this point, but we won't be going to the spreadsheet too much because it's mostly a one game sample size up to this point. Cleveland Cavaliers versus the Orlando Magic. Why did the Orlando Magic beat the shit out of them so much? Well, they have an actual NBA point guard on their team in Anthony Black that can keep the team under pace, keep them organized, something like that. That's going to win you a ton of Summer League games. The Orlando Magic could be a team, if all these guys keep playing on it, they could win the whole thing. Let's take a look at Cleveland. Jalen Tyson, he was their first round pick coming in this year. The thing with Tyson that I personally wasn't very high on him, I didn't have him high on my big boards at all or anything like that, is that he was not good in college until his final season when he had the ball all the time. And it showed in this game. He had a good game, don't get me wrong, he had a really impressive game, but he does not want to give up that basketball, and that's something to kind of watch, because how is he going to play on Cleveland this year without that? And now in Summer League, is there any reason for him to not have that ball? No, not necessarily. You got guys like Craig Porter on the team who you kind of hope that he can continue to develop, because he showed some nice things for Cleveland this year in some very limited minutes. He didn't have the greatest game ever, but that's okay. You also got Imani Bates on there, which is just a name. You know he's going to get his shots up. Probably not a legitimate NBA player necessarily, but he can go get some buckets at a professional level, so good for him. But yeah, the thing with Tyson that I'm just worried about is none of the moves that he made or any of the shots that he took were necessarily good shots. They were kind of all over the place. He didn't do a ton to really get creative and get himself open, so a little bit concerned about that, but nonetheless had a good game. Going down to the Orlando Magic now. Some familiar names here. Jarrett Culver, shout out him. He was one of those lottery guys that did not last much at all. But Jay Huff, probably the best returning center to play in Summer League. This is what I'm saying. This Magic team is pretty tough. You got other guys like Xavier Moon that have played some NBA minutes before. Charlie Brown Jr., Isaiah Todd even. Kaiser Gates I've seen play some NBA minutes before. But at the end of the day, we're looking at Tristan Da Silva, Jet Howard, Anthony Black, and Howard, obviously being their two lottery picks from the year before. Didn't get a ton of burn this year. Anthony Black in some limited minutes did, but again, just looked like a solid professional point guard in this game, getting some rebounds, getting some assists, got a bunch of steals. You'd expect that probably out of a second year guy that's played some solid NBA minutes up to this point in this game. Really, really impressive. What was cool to see was Jet Howard. What I was glad that they did is they used him how they would probably use him in an NBA game here, coming off a lot of fucking screens, hitting fadeaway shots, hitting catch and shoot ones. The release looks really, really good, especially on the moving ones, and he was hitting them, man. 5 for 10 from 3. Really impressed with Jet Howard. The handles, or as I call them, the grips, are still pretty loose. So first game, not going to overanalyze it too much, but just something I noticed. Also looked really athletic in this game too, so that was really encouraging to see. I was really happy with how Jet Howard played. Tristan Da Silva, though, the rookie himself, came in and he spaced the floor. He even operated as a bit of a secondary ball handler like you saw him in college. It's not like he was really creating and getting himself to the rim all the way, but he kept the offense moving, and then he'd keep respacing. He was hitting his shots. Really, really impressed with these Magic boys. Next game, we have New Orleans and Minnesota, the Terrance Shannon Jr. game. You guys all know I was really, really high on Terrance Shannon Jr. I had him at 5 on my official big board and everything, and I think most of us know that he's actually that good, but there was the off-the-court stuff, which, fair or unfair, that's what ended up happening, right? The Pelicans, obviously, Yves Missy, that's their guy. They've also brought Jordan Hawkins down. Antonio Reeves, another one of their draft picks this year. But we want to see Jordan Hawkins go and just get some buckets, right? That's what he's supposed to do. But I know the thing that I want to see the most is, can he also be a ball handler? Which, Yes, like we want to get there. I'm not so much worried about that right now. I just want to see him continue to like be the secondary guy that can create some shots to them. That's the kind of goal that I would have for him this year. So no surprise, they probably told him, "Hey, green light, take as many shots as you want." Not too worried about the efficiency right now. I thought the shots he took were fine overall. Yves Missy did what you kind of expect him to do. He doesn't create his own shot or anything. He kind of has to wait for other people, which makes it hard for guys like this in Summer League because a lot of times guys aren't looking to set up other people. So I don't know what I necessarily expect to see out of him, but he got a lot of rebounds, he blocked a shot. Cool to see, right? We're totally fine with that performance. Minnesota Timberwolves, a team that we have said is kind of winning from the offseason in a lot of senses here, like Josh Minot, one of the guys that we want to kind of see, him and Leonard Miller, who have been around a little bit more, Dasheen Nix as well. We kind of want to watch them as they're some of the younger guys on the team for the Timberwolves, but they're 2 first-round picks, Terrance Shannon Jr., Rob Dillingham. Rob Dillingham, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't enjoy his first game watching it. Some of the concerns that I had about him as a player kind of showed in this one. In the sense where like his size really hurt him, not only defensively but trying to finish at the hoop. He got pushed around like a lot, and so that's kind of a concern. He made some nice like sneaky defensive plays, getting behind people and stripping a ball. He's got quick hands. That's cool. It might just take a little bit more time for him, whereas like a Terrance Shannon Jr., he's a little bit more mature. I just think he's an overall better player. We saw that he's probably way too good to be playing in Summer League. He can do it all right. He can pass. He can create his own shot. We saw him create his own shot in a multitude of fashions, like all the jab moves, all the different counter moves, hitting shots from different angles. In transition, he's absolutely lethal. Crazy good athlete, played great defense. So Terrance Shannon, man, he should be an immediate contributor for the Timberwolves. Kings Grizzlies here. Grizzlies getting the dub in this one. Zach Edey not present, so only so much we can do. Obviously Devin Carter, he's going to be out for a while for Sacramento. That sucks, but you know what, that's okay. We're watching Keon Ellis and probably Mason Jones more than anybody for him. Keon Ellis hasn't been like the greatest so far for Sacramento so far in the Summer League. I'm just pulling him up right here because I kind of want to see. So yeah, no, like average, kind of all around, getting you about 3.5 assists, some steals. Yeah, getting you around 17 points. So it just hasn't been the most efficient right now, which again, you'll always hear me say with like rookies and second year players. Like I'm just not worried about it until the end of their second year. I just want to see a little bit of improvement. Boogie Ellis has been giving him a great effort out there, so good to see that he had another solid game for him. I'll be curious to see if that's a guy that kind of like cracks the team in any sort of fashion, but I don't know. Drew Timmy, another younger guy out there. Always just cool to see him out there. He's like the typical, oh yeah, I remember that guy from college basketball that's now playing in Summer League. But yeah, Keon Ellis' defense still looks great, so that's awesome. Let's go to the Memphis Grizzlies. Guys that we're watching here, obviously Jalen Wells is one of their guys. Zach Edey didn't play in this one. I'll be curious to see if we see Zach Edey play like anymore, honestly. Like, I don't know, I'm just curious. Scottie Pippen Jr. is honestly a guy that I think can play like a little bit of NBA minutes if you really need him to. You just saw decent spurts of it. He just looks like more of a polished NBA player out there. Cam Spencer, kind of been a quietly good player for them as like a second round pick so far in Summer League, and we'll take a look at that in a second. Jake LaRavia, Trey Jamison, 2 guys that played some minutes for them last year. Obviously Gigi Jackson, a guy that a lot of us are very, very high on, chucking shots in this one. Not surprised. They're like, yeah, go get yours right now because soon you'll probably be back on the bench or something like that. Maybe they start him this year. I'd like to see that, but I just think Gigi Jackson's potential is like through the roof. So I want to go over to my rookie report here, and as you can see, names are starting to fill in as like more guys are starting to play, which is good. I want to sort this down to, let's clear this. Where do I want to go? I want to go to the Memphis Grizzlies. So let's pull up our Memphis Grizzlies guys here. So you'll see Cam Spencer here is kind of like thriving, like field goal percentage wise, 3-point percentage, the free throws, whatever, it's 1 for 2. But you're seeing him above average in like assists per game, steals, like you're keeping the turnovers low. You're doing pretty well in points, getting 14, 15 points a game right now. So Cam Spencer, like just kind of pointing it out there, like compared to some of the other guys that we're seeing out here, when there's there's a lot of red and there's a lot of below averages, which you expect. It's Summer League and everything, but Cam Spencer all the way down here, quietly being a pretty efficient player. Can I sort this way real quick just so you guys can kind of see where he fits in compared to the rest of the rookies so far? And we'll dive into this a little bit deeper towards the end of the video, just kind of like a full-on rookie report. But coming in middle of the pack right now with the 53rd pick and being efficient while doing it. The only other guys we're really seeing that out of so far are Carrington, who we haven't talked about yet. Reed Sheppard, obviously, had a really good game yesterday. So, yeah, really, really cool to see. Who is this? Oh, yeah, Tristan Da Silva, obviously, one game sample size as well, but cool nonetheless. Alrighty, Rockets-Lakers, the Reed Sheppard game. I guess that's what we'll call it for now. The thing to note about Reed Sheppard is it was cool to see that, like, a lot of his points were coming off more so secondary ball handling opportunities or catch and shoot things. I think that's probably where it's best for him right now. I know we all saw the one highlight of him cooking Dalton Connect a little bit. Pretty sure that was a double dribble. I'm pretty sure his second hand touched the ball at one point, and that's why Connect jumped at it. I think I even saw Reed Sheppard kind of be like, ooh, like I definitely kind of double dribbled that one, but I could be tripping. But nonetheless, like Reed Sheppard looked nice out there. We know this. We know the stroke is there. That's awesome. He was able to be that secondary ball handler, get down, get some floaters up and everything, hit a couple mid-rangers off those kind of like secondary opportunities, which is really cool to see. That's what you're probably going to hope to get out of him this year in some capacity. Some other guys to them, obviously AJ Griffin now on the team. He's getting a little bit of burn. Cam Whitmore still doing his thing where he's just kind of got tunnel vision for most of the game. He did get 4 assists. They were pretty easy assists, but nonetheless, Cam Whitmore looking pretty good. Again, I don't really see Reed Sheppard as like a true point guard yet, but hey, man, played a really solid basketball game, man. Played a really, really solid basketball game. For the Lakers, Dalton Connect slowly starting to kind of figure it out. The shot's starting to fall a little bit more. That's cool. Maxwell Lewis is another guy that you're probably watching for them, is kind of like hey, is this young guy going to develop for them at all? And he's being like aggressive at like points, and it feels like they're maybe having to encourage him to do it a little bit more. So I don't know. I guess we'll kind of see with that. Bronny James, the offensive like shot making, that's obviously the glaring issue right now. I mean, we can go all the way down to Bronny down here. Where are we at? 23%, hasn't hit a 3 yet, which like I say I don't care about efficiency. That's obviously pretty poor. I will say though, and I think most people will, is that like I'd say everything but the shot making looks pretty good. Honestly, like I think the defense looks pretty solid all said and done. I think he's moving around the court very well, and honestly I think the better players you put him around, probably the better he looks in those, just because he seems so much smarter than everybody else. But yeah, no, eventually we got to hit some shots and stuff, and that's why it's like Bronny James isn't gonna like play NBA minutes like a ton this year, right? But luckily the offensive like shot making is one of the easier things to teach in basketball. It's a lot of reps. It's a lot of just like, hey, getting PT in somewhere else. So I don't know. I'm not too worried about it. Nets Pacers went to OT in this one. Who are we watching for the Nets? 2 of their younger guys, Derek Whitehead, Noah Clowney. They were first round picks last year. Didn't get like any burn. Derek Whitehead played like 2 minutes or like 2 games because of injury. He was rough in this one. First game back in basketball and stuff. Don't sweat it at all. I'm just kind of going to throw this one out the window. Noah Clowney was pretty solid and efficient. Like to see that. I'll be curious to see what kind of minutes he's getting this year. Probably Jalen Wilson is the one you really want to watch, though, as he had like some solid playing time minutes last year, kind of came out of nowhere and got some real burn for them. You would expect him to kind of have a performance like this where he's pretty efficient and kind of just looking a little more mature than everybody else out there. So that's awesome. Hope that he finds some rotational minutes this year. I think that'd be pretty cool. Going to the Pacers, Johnny Furphy, obviously they're draft pick this year, just kind of was a floor spacer, right? That's what we expect out of him. Catch and shoot opportunities, did pretty well in that avenue, so that's awesome. Got some rebounds there. He didn't really have a chance to get like some assists or anything like that. Jarris Walker, he's probably the guy you're watching the most, along with Ben Sheppard. Ben Sheppard just wasn't really hitting a shot in this one, so I don't think he took bad shots. I'm really not tripping about it. And Enrique Freeman was another one of their guys, along with like Tristan Newton, their second round picks. Just didn't get like a ton of burn in this one, which that's fine. They might be like 2-way players or something this year. Jarris Walker, obviously the lottery pick from last year, the one you wanted to see. I will say all the points he scored on, it's more so the fact that like the Nets were playing just like stupid defense the entire time. They just kept letting him get like underneath people and then just throwing the ball over to him, and he's bigger and stronger than everyone else, so he kept putting it in. I didn't really see a ton else outside of that in this one, so I'm still, waiting for Jarris Walker to kind of show me a little bit something more. But man, no, he's physically strong and he's gifted athletically, so that's cool. So we'll have to kind of watch him to see where things go. All right, the big ticket game, the Washington Wizards versus Atlanta Hawks, the number 1 and 2 picks going up against each other. Let's start with Atlanta and the number 1 pick, Rhys Sachet. These are probably the 2 most a non-cared about 1 and 2 picks in like NBA history, it feels like. But Shea, I thought, had a really nice game overall. He showed you all the things that he can really do well, being a connecting piece, being a nice like playmaker at times, hitting some tough shots, getting out in transition and running, and being a good athlete. Like, he hit shots in people's faces. I think Shea is going to be a nice player in this league. Like, I really do. I think he comes in as an immediate starter, can really provide for people. So I'm happy about him. You have Jerzik here, who there's some people that are some really big fans of this guy, and I will say in like the combine and stuff like that, I was pretty impressed with him, all said and done. So he got out there a little bit, didn't get like a ton of burn compared to some other starters, I felt like, but was cool getting to the hoop and everything like that, trying to be a facilitator. So I'll be curious to kind of see where he goes. The Wizards now, they had some interesting names out there. Obviously, Bub Carrington, Alex Sarr, the second overall pick, and Keyshawn George. Obviously, they're 3 first-round picks this year. They also brought Johnny Davis, who I'm actually kind of surprised he hasn't been like cut. He's been pretty rough so far. I'm a big Johnny Davis fan for personal reasons, but it was nice to see him kind of contribute a little bit in the Summer League game. We'll just say that at the very least. Hopefully they can find a way to get him out there a little bit more during the regular season. But Alex Sarr obviously wasn't the most efficient. He did show some really cool moments where he was able to kind of create for himself a little bit, which is not necessarily something you expect from him. But defensively, he already looks elite, and that's what we said coming in was so great about him. Like, he was switching like 1 through 5 on people and then coming back and like protecting the rim still. Like, that's so impressive. I don't think you guys realize that. Like, his instincts to drop back down and help protect like the rim even after he's switching 1 through 5, absolutely nuts. Keyshawn George kind of just came out there, took a couple shots, didn't get the ball a ton, so good for him. Bub Carrington, definitely one of the highlights of the night, though. I know a lot of people are really high on Bub Carrington. He looked polished. I'll say he looked polished. Some of his like self-creation, which I kind of noted in a lot of the pre-draft videos, I'm like, that's kind of where I'm like, how high can he go? Because he seems smart. Like, he still makes a lot of like young guy mistakes, but he seems like he's picking up the game pretty quickly. Like, he got a lot better as the season went on in college, and that tells me like, okay, yeah, no, he's figuring it out. He's processing it, right? So I expect kind of a similar curve here in the NBA. But Bub Carrington, really efficient game, just like stupid efficient. Got 9 rebounds too and 8 assists, like incredible. Couple, maybe 1 too many turnovers, I'd say, but overall really, really nice. The jump shot looks like maybe a little bit hitchy, like there's a small hitch in it, but like when he gets to the mid-range, it looks a lot smoother, which, you know, that's where he excelled more in college. So good to see. But I thought his pacing was really impressive. Like, he didn't seem sped up at all by the more professional and just faster paced Summer League games. So I'm excited to watch Bub Carrington. Where do we think is he? He's not going to like start. They're going to probably play Brogdon over him. So I'm kind of curious to see kind of how that like helps or hurts his development. Oh, and this one hurts to talk about. Clippers and Nuggets. We're going to start with the Clippers before we go to anything else. Cam Christie, that's really their guy. Like Kobe Brown, you could talk about him as well. He wasn't very efficient in this one, but maybe another young player you're watching. Cam Christie came out there, kind of looked like what I expect Cam Christie to look like. Took some shots, made some of them pretty basic. I don't know. I'm not that high on Cam Christie, in all honesty. Jordan Miller was a second-round pick for them last year. He had a really good game. He was a two-way player for them last year, so we're going to have to keep an eye on him. I believe that's the highest amount of points that we've seen out of Summer League so far. Can I confirm that? Actually, yeah, Jordan Miller, yeah. He's 36 was a high so far, and that's nuts. Like, that's a shit ton of points, and he was hitting them shots. So good for Jordan Miller in that one. Denver Nuggets fans, I'm sorry. You guys have had a rough offseason. So Deron Holmes, the first-round pick that you kind of figured, like, this is going to solve some of our backup big problems. He should be able to contribute right away for us. He's a promising young player. Tore his Achilles. He's done for the year. First game, and he was hoping to start this game, man. You saw it all in that one, and why a lot of us were really high on him. Like, he was looking really good, and that's kind of it for him now. Luckily, Dario Saric is still on the team, so you'll still have somebody to kind of play in a similar role. Obviously, he brought a lot more in the terms of like a little bit of passing, some great athleticism off the bench, and we saw like the ability to step out and hit some threes. Like, man, you couldn't have asked for a much better like first impression game, and just goes down, man, and that sucks. So you immediately start looking at, okay, what other young guy is going to be able to contribute? Trey Alexander, a guy that I liked a lot. He looked pretty solid out there, even though he dropped in the draft a little bit. So watch out for him. Jalen Pickett was pretty inefficient in this one. Julian Strother is probably the young guy that you hope is going to be able to come in and play some real minutes for you this year. He looked solid all around, looked like he was pretty comfortable getting his own shot. I'm not going to lie, I feel better about Julian Strother starting than I do about Christian Brown. I'm just putting it out there. I just feel a little bit better about that right now, so we'll see if I end up being right about that. Hunter Tyson, another young guy, came out, hit some shots, and really create for himself, but that's okay. PJ Hall, another rookie, a big out there that's going to stick more around like the post, but you could tell he was trying to step out and hit some shots, so we'll see if that can amount to anything. The turnovers were pretty poor. He just didn't quite look like he was ready for NBA speed, so I'm sorry, Nuggets fans. This is a tough offseason for you guys because, like, losing KCP was detrimental because of how the new cap works and everything, because you can't just go get a replacement now. You have to get minimum contract guys, and I'm still hopeful that they can go out and find one or two, like, impactful minimum contract dudes at the end of the day, so man, I really hope that the Nuggets can find something. But let's go back over to the spreadsheet quick, and we can take a look at the stat leaders here really quick. Obviously, Jordan Miller's towards the top, Terrance Shannon Jr., Jalen Wilson, Jarris Walker, Strother, Reed Sheppard, Jet Howard. A lot of the names that you expect to see here. Laravia. Looking at rebounding, nothing like is drawing me in that much. The assists, obviously, Carlton Carrington, that's awesome to see. Jang obviously hasn't played anymore since then, but he was up there along with Dylan Jones. I don't know if they play or not today. Can we check to see who's all playing today? I clicked on an ad. Yeah, the Thunder do play today. It looks like a lot of the rest of the teams are playing today, so that'll be cool. Bulls at 4:30 against the Bucks. Excited to see that one. It was good to see Clowney get up there, block some shots. Sar, like I said, like his defense is already out of this world, like it looks like. So that's awesome to see. Anthony Black getting steals. You always expect the older guys to get a lot of the steals, right? Because a lot of the younger guys just don't know how to play the lanes yet. So not surprised to see those three towards the top. If we're looking here at like our draft picks, I've got Sacramento already just like read it out because Devin Carter won't step on the court. So that's just unfortunate. Let's sort this by, let's get rid of all the blank ones here so we can just kind of look at a condensed view of it. Who's our 3-point leader right now? It looks like we've got, it was Deron Holmes. I'm so sorry, Nuggets fans, but obviously Reed Sheppard, De Silva, Cam Spencer, Carrington. That's what we're kind of seeing so far out of these guys. Let's take a look at just like our points per game real quick. Obviously Terrance Shannon leading it all right now with Reed Sheppard, Carrington, Ware. Who's kind of towards the bottom with this one? Tristan Newton hasn't really gotten a bucket yet. Filipowski's kind of down there. Dillingham, Bronny James, Cody Williams obviously struggled a little bit in that league. You don't expect Missy to be all that high in this, so that's not a big deal. What are some of the other things I want to kind of check out here? I think that's kind of it, in all honesty. So you guys can pause and take a look at this if you want to. I've got these kind of set to like NBA averages here, and then like expected like rebounds, assists, and steals. That's kind of how the color matrix works here. So kind of interesting to see. We'll obviously be getting more data and stuff, so I wouldn't look too hard into this right now. And honestly, throughout the whole summer league, I wouldn't take any of this as like a Bible scripture or anything like that. But nonetheless, thank you guys for watching. As always, I'll be covering the summer league every single day that I possibly can. I'm really excited to talk about it. But hey, we'll talk to you guys later. Bye.